Well, this is it. We've got 8 badges. It's time to make our way through the badge check gate. Now, this is sort of reminiscent to the older games where, you know, particularly red and blue and yellow, where you had to go through some places. And you needed to show your badges at each of these gates. Now, if you notice in the background, hear that drumming? See, it wasn't there before. And now, you hear even more of it? Yep, every time you go through one of these gates, a new instrument will be added to the background. So it's kind of neat. You should already have all of these badges, except perhaps the legend badge if you decided to check this place out a little too early. But each one of the areas in here kind of reflects the, it kind of reflects the scenery and the theme that the gym leader used. Oh, who are you? Yeah, okay. Every time you pass through a gate, you're going to a different world. Yeah, he's basically summarizing what I just said. So here's the 5th one. This is the one for the Quake badge. And obviously I need to have the Quake badge in order to get through here. Well, quite clearly I have the Quake badge. Okay, so... And see, it looks kind of like an earthquake, or kind of something. Not looks like an earthquake, but looks kind of rocky. And then, past here, I unlock the Jet badge area. And, yeah! Is this cool or what? Look at that. I can just fly! I'm flying! I'm flying! Alright, well that was really cool. It's actually the coolest of them all. And then right here's the Freeze badge. Show the sharp edge of an icicle. Yeah, you bet. And then there's a brief little sliding puzzle thingy, which you can solve just by following those steps. And lastly, you need the Legend badge in order to get through this final gate. What's on the other end of this final gate? Victory Road, of course! And you need to go through Victory Road in order to get to the Pokemon League. Just like pretty much every other Pokemon game out there. So here it is, in all of its glory. It's right through this little gate thingy, and voila! We are in Victory Road! Now, unlike a lot of Victory Roads of previous generations, this one, it's kind of elevated. I mean, you have to go outside of it, and you have to go upwards. You can also fly back to Victory Road, the southern part of it, right here, at any time you want. So since my Pokemon are still kind of weakened, I'm going to fly back to Opelucid and heal really quick, and then return. See, I can fly right back there. Keep that in mind, if, you know, you're taking on the Victory Road and, you know, you want to heal up your Pokemon. Now, there are 3 Pokemon that you can find only in the Victory Road area, the first of which is Durant. Now, Durant is a Bug Steel type. It's surprisingly speedy for a Steel type, and it hits very hard. Not to mention, Durant can jump very high, but that's a little beside the point. So this Iron Ant Pokemon it's actually a pretty decent addition to your team. I know it's a little late in the game to be considering adding new Pokemon, but, you know, if you're in need of something like that, it's not that bad of a Pokemon to add at this point in the game, and the alternatives to that are far and few. I mean, pretty much the only one I can think of is, like, Excelgor, or not Excelgor, Escavalier. Okay, so, caught me a Durant. Bug Steel is pretty nice. It has very little in the way of weaknesses, and the thing's fast and hits hard, so that's kind of nice. Now if you have Surf, you can surf on over here and pick up a Max Revive. There's actually a few places throughout this dungeon you can use Surf and Strength, but thankfully, neither of these are even required. You don't have to bring in any HMs with you in order to get through Victory Road. That is awesome! That's like the first time in Victory Road that's ever been a possibility. It just makes it more convenient, though. Before going to the Pokemon League, let me test my skills! Alright, whatever. We'll do that. Now, the trainers in here, they are pretty darn tough. You have to keep that in mind. They will use fully evolved Pokemon with decent moves, and high levels, no less. For instance, this Whimsicott here, it's at an even higher level than my Wylia. My Behem. So, obviously be careful. But it is a great opportunity to get in some last-minute training. before you take on the Elite Four, because they are going to be very difficult, particularly if you're lower level. Ideally, you want to get your Pokemon up to level 48 or so before taking on the Elite Four. That's the level I recommend. 50's great, but, you know, do what you can. A lot of it depends on how many Pokemon you have in your team, too. Okay, so I'm going to send out Judo Mario here against the Zebstrika. Just because it's pretty much the only thing I can do to get a super effective hit on that. I don't really have ground-type attacks all over the place. Regrettably. They're rather useful, but, you know, I'll bulldoze this thing. So darn fast, though. Ow. The nice thing about bulldoze is, you know, it does lower the foe's speed, so oftentimes you can use that. You can get in that extra hit without taking extra damage. So that does make it nice, particularly on a relatively slow Pokemon like Judo Mario. But I guess Zebstrika was just way too fast. Okay, so trying to learn Wide Guard, not really that good for in-game purposes. It's kind of nice for double battles and stuff, even triple battles, but there's not a lot of those in-game, so I'm just going to pass on that. So healed up my Pokemon, and I'm out here now. What are these guys doing? Listen, you can slide down the cliffs here. Watch me. What? Now you try it. Aye, that's a long way down. I can't do it. Yeah, well, you know what? If your friend told you to jump off a bridge and said everyone was doing it, would you jump off a bridge? I wouldn't. You know that old saying. You just don't do that, man. Don't fall into peer pressure like that. Now, outside of Victory Road, and only outside, can you find Heatmor. Now, this thing is a very odd-looking anteater thingy. It's a pure fire type, and sadly there's nothing really that exceptional about it. Compared to the other fire type Pokemon that you could find earlier in the game, like Chandelure and Darmanitan. I mean, you don't find Chandelure, but, you know, it's an option at this point. And even Simisear, it's not really that exceptional. Nothing really makes it stand out. It's not a terrible fire type Pokemon, but it's just, it's bound by mediocre lacklusterness that just, I mean, you know, sorry, Heatmor. It's just, you appear so darn late in the game that you're not really useful at that point. There's no point in really training it up if you're trying to beat the Elite Four. And then after then, you get access to so many more Pokemon that it's not even necessary. Heatmor would have been a cooler Pokemon if it were available earlier, but regrettably, it was not. Still, if you find yourself really in need of a fire type at this point in the game, you can get it. They burn through Durant's steel bodies and consume their insides with their flame-covered tongues? Ugh. That's a pretty graphic description, really. Poor Durants. Okay. But anyway, that's just my opinion of Heatmor there. I wouldn't really recommend it if you're trying to train one up, because there are just plain and simple better fire-type Pokemon. And if you don't have one by now, well, you probably shouldn't get one now. Or you should go get another one like Chandelure or Darmanitan or something. Now I'm showing you another fight against Durant because there's one thing I forgot to show you. Well, I didn't really forget to show you. I just couldn't if I was going to catch it. Durant actually give a nice amount of experience points when you knock them out. They're fast, so they'll probably hit you. But look at that, 19 experience. That's awesome. Now granted, I did have a lucky egg, but still, that's, what, around 1,200 or so without it? That's pretty decent. So they make a great Pokemon to knock out for training. Now, the last of the new Pokemon you can run into here is Deino. Now, this thing, it's a dark dragon-type Pokemon, which sounds really cool. However, the problem it has is it evolves so darn late. It evolves into its second form, Zvilas, at level 50, and then its final form, Hydreigon, at level 64. So even though it makes an awesome addition to your team, if you can wait that long, you're going to be at level 50 by the time you take on the Elite Four. So really, you're not going to have that Hydreigon at that point. Now, one interesting thing with that little trio of Pokemon, their naming scheme actually has to do with the German numbers, 1, 2, and 3 in German. So it's a little play on that, sort of like Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos. I mean, Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, sorry. Being play on Spanish numbers. So that's why it's Deino, Zweilous, not Zweilous or Zweilous or whatever, not Deino, and Hydreigon. Not Hydreigon or Hydro, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Thank goodness I knew someone with German to point that out. I knew someone who caught the pun and pointed it out to me. So, awesome. Anyway, there's an Ultra Ball up here, which is just lovely. And then there's, a cliff I could jump off if I wanted. However, I do not want to do that, because there's nothing really down there. It's a nice quick exit, though, in case you want to get out and fly. So it's kind of nice, but I want to move forward. Because there's a trainer here. He wants to take me on. An ace trainer like me has pride, so I won't lose. Alright. Well, what do you got there, pal? Ace trainer Dwayne. He's got a Stoutland. Oh, snap. It's a big dog, eh? Yep, so, you know, you're going to be running into just a whole ton of really difficult Pokemon. High levels, strong, fully evolved Pokemon ready to take you out. When you're going through Victory Road, it is highly recommended that you have, like, super or max repels or something to keep away the wild Pokemon if you don't want to fight Durants. Keep in mind you'll run into, you know, your standard Boldore and Woobats and stuff, so it does get annoying. You're probably best just using the repels to get through the first time. Additionally, you should have tons of healing items, like revives and hyper potions, or Moo Moo Milks in particular. They're cheap. So my Samurott here wants to learn Aqua Tail, and I didn't let him learn that, because you have higher special attack anyway, so Surf is a much better option for you. Alright, so you've got a Scolipede, but you know what? I'm going to send out my bird, Hope, and she's going to take that big honkin' bug out. Look at that thing. It's gonna steamroll me. Or at least try. It's not very effective. How could a steamroller not be very effective? Jeez. Alright, well, I just showed that thing what really effective is all about. I could not protect my pride. Alright, whatever, pal. So, moving right along here. If we go outside, we are now right on over where that dude is too afraid to jump. And there's this big pile of nothing over here, but you can fall down, and then you can get TM12, which is Taunt. Granted, you get this kind of late in the game, but whatever. It can be used to keep your opponent from using support moves and stuff. Basically, anything that won't damage you, it'll stop your foe from using those moves. Not really helpful in-game, although it does have its limited uses. But it's mostly useful for competitive battles, where you deal with setup a lot. So don't write it off as terrible, it's just not overly useful in-game, where you're usually better off just taking out your opponent really quickly. Okay, so, it's a long way down, I can't do it. Well, I just did it, pal. So you should, too. So there's two doors you can go in here, two entrances back into the cave, and the one over here, there's a veteran here. Look at my Pokemon. She has some rather challenging Pokemon on her team. Veteran Tiffany has a Behemoth, just like I do, as a matter of fact. Huh, alright. Well, I've got my Samurott here, so I'm gonna take that darn thing out. Yeah. Surf on it. Wow. Oh, snap, it has Thunderbolt. Not good. Ooh, ow. Really not good. What a jerk. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna make this interesting here. I will send out my Behemoth. Look at that. Level 44 and everything. It's like a mirror match, but look, I've got Quick Claw. I also have Shadow Ball to take that thing out. That's why I sent out my Wylia. Okay, the foe's Behemoth fainted. Awesome. Mine did not. Mine is a survivor. And Tiffany here has a Heatmor on her team. Huh. Wasn't I just talking about those things? Alright. Well, I will swap out for Hope here since Marriland's knocked out. That'd be my first choice. I guess I could have used Judo Mario, but I kind of want to give Hope a bit of experience. Flamethrower? I think that is one nice thing about Heatmor, though. It does have Flamethrower. If I recall correctly, that's one of its saving graces. I mean, it learns it at level 51, even without TMs, so it is possible for you to have Flamethrower available before you beat the Elite Four and stuff. You have to do a little bit of leveling up, but since you can't get the TM for Flamethrower until after you've beaten the game, that is kind of nice. I guess that's one of its advantages, but whatever. Okay, so you've got a Lilligant as well, huh? Nice. But Hope was just the right choice for that. Not bad. I like your strength. I like your shades. Okay, this Pokemon grows. Spawn trainers will evolve or whatever. Yeah, okay. So I'll heal up my Pokemon really quick here. And then I want to find that item. Where is it? Alright, a Hyper Potion. Well, you know what? I'm going to head out here, and I will explore the rest of Victory Road on the next episode of Marriland's Pokemon White Adventure.